Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 27th, 2017. We are the Bitter Knitters. My name is Jacqueline. I'm joined by Arthur.
Hey.
And Ryan.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Alive.
Alive? Yeah. Well, I guess that's sometimes all you can hope for, right? Sorry, I'm lax. I'm sharing the link right now for our show. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I can't do two things at once. I'm really bad at it.
You can't multitask? I thought that was like the bread and butter of a mother.
Oh, God. I can do certain things, but when I have to type something that makes sense and
talk, it's kind of hard.
It's hard. It's hard for me.
Or she's actually trying to find cheats to beat me in pool again.
Ryan, cheats won't help me. I'm losing to you almost every time.
That's not
I don't
true.
know
You
why.
beat me twice already.
Twice already, yes. Okay, there. Let's go. I finally got it going. I wanted to do a couple of updates. One that enraged me. Like seriously enraged me. We remember the Utah nurse that was arrested for refusing to draw blood.
Yeah.
So on Monday, the Salt Lake Police Association, the union essentially, said in a letter to the mayor and to the police chief that it is extremely concerned and dismayed about the handling that has, quote, corrupted the high-profile investigation. They're basically saying that they released the body cam footage prematurely, and now it has tainted, I guess, the pool, and they've already been, in the court of public opinion, they've been found guilty.
Yeah.
Which they have. But, I mean, he's guilty. He arrested somebody physically.
Yeah, and unlawfully.
Unlawfully. I don't know what they're expecting. Now, maybe they can try to sue and get some sort of payout.
But it just proves to you the point that I think I've mentioned this before, how literally the police wants to get away with everything that they do, right? Almost everything that they get to do. It's like that was illegal. You're putting someone's nursing license on the line because you wanted your friend to be blood tested.
Yeah. Well, the thing is okay, look, I get a union is there to protect the people. So the union does have to do something for these cops to some degree, right? They're union members. They have to support them. I don't know if this is necessarily the way they should do it, but it also goes to that whole kind of brothers in blue thing where, like you're saying, like no matter what, they'll stand by each other. They don't report, dirty dealings. They don't report wrongdoings. You need some people to kind of break the mold and be like, no.
Absolutely. Well, this is why, a lot of people think that the cops are pigs. But I don't share the sentiment, but this proves to you why some people would do that. Because you're going to release a statement that you think, no, it's been tainted. It's been tainted because the police cam or the body cam footage was released.
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing body cam footage. We saw the cop was in Baltimore planting the gun.
Yeah.
We're seeing body cam footage of innocent people being shot. I mean, body cam footage. I'm really pro body cam police because, exactly. As long as they haven't tampered with it and they haven't turned off the cameras, we're going to get a true unbiased account of what happened.
Which is supposed to be which is supposed to be. We have to protect. If their job is to protect the citizens, then let's show the proof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's show the proof.
Yeah.
Your job is to protect your citizens. She's a citizen. She's a taxpayer. She's supposed to be protected.
Yeah, that whole thing made literally zero sense. Like, there's no way that I could look at that and be like, huh. Like, oh, I understand what the cop was doing. Like, it seriously makes absolutely no sense.
No, he went completely across. He crossed that line and because he got pissed off at her for not doing what he wanted. Well, fuck him because he's going to lose his job. And
Too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Hopefully he doesn't win a nice, tidy settlement. I'll be pissed if he wins a settlement so much. Let's go into a happier story. So once again, we all know that marijuana will be legal in Canada as of July 1st, 2018.
Yep.
A story came out the other day that nearly half of Canadians want to try edible marijuana products. Half of Canadians. I mean, we're not a huge country, but you're still talking about what? I'm not bad about 17 million people.
But 17 million, yeah.
That's insane. And still in Ontario, they're not going to have anything other than these pot-run government outlets where you can buy stuff. I'm sure at some point, right now, the beginning, they're not planning to have any edibles or oils or anything other than the actual weed, as far as I know. But I'm sure they'll bring stuff in as they get more into the groove. But can you imagine? As soon as they announced this years ago, when Justin Trudeau kept saying he wanted to legalize weed, I was like saying to my friends at work, I'm like, we all need to quit our job and open up a pot cafe where mostly it would be like edibles, because I'm like, people would want that so much, because who knows how to cook that. And in this area of Scarborough where I live, it would be mostly like rundown gross dispensaries and stuff. This would be amazing. But alas, I won't get to be a millionaire through pot brownies.
Jacqueline will be the next Paula Weedine.
Paula Weedine.
Paula Weedine.
I guess, after July, be careful if you're eating anything that I've baked, because who knows, you'll get baked.
She'll be like, my secret ingredient, marijuana.
I'll teach you how to do it.
There we go.
Teach you how to make edibles.
You could run a class, Arthur.
It's really not hard. Like, it's really not that hard.
You could charge people $50 and people would come in and learn how to cook from you.
I'd make more just selling my edibles.
Well, there you go. You're not allowed to, though. You'll go to jail for that.
Yeah.
But there you go. We'll have more updates, I'm sure.
It's not a big surprise that more people would be willing to do edibles. Edibles, they don't have the stigma around it.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't have a lot of the negative health problems that smoking does, right? Because you're not inhaling smoke.
And there's no secondhand smoke to give to your children or your friends or your, anybody in your building. If you're in an apartment building, with an edible, you can partake and you're not worried about, tainting the air, as it were, or having a bong or having a pipe or whatever way you want to ingest it. There's
no paraphernalia. Like, you can't get charged with walking around with paraphernalia.
When do you think they'll start to discuss like legislative stuff, like when can you and not use it? Like, are they gonna count it towards I guess, like, I don't know if you guys do drug testing for social welfare and stuff like that. Like, I wonder how
there's no drug testing as of right now. People, every couple of years, the government some radical guy in the government tries to bring up, we need to drug test people for welfare. That hasn't gone through yet here. I don't think it ever will, because they've already studies have proven that the amount of money they spend on it is a waste of money for who they catch.
Yeah.
But as legislatively, I guess only certain jobs will test you for marijuana. Not in my job.
Well,
my husband's job, he doesn't get tested. I don't know. I guess if you've signed a contract saying that you don't, I guess it'll depend on what your contract is when you get hired, right? At my job, obviously I can't come to work drunk or stoned, but they can't tell me what to do in my off time, right? As long as I'm coming to work sober, it wouldn't matter. But yeah, they're still trying to get some sort of clear answers from the government. I know people want to know exactly how the government is going to fully run it with the, police situation, and exactly what's going to happen to the, your jobs and stuff like that, what your rights are.
Yeah, like I've been wondering about stuff like that. And not that I'm saying that they should, whatever they decide, but it's like, it's interesting because I wonder, once they legalize this in other countries, which we'll see happen eventually, how it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like, are they going to follow suit with what Canada does? Because I feel like Canada will be somewhat the trailblazer for this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because, we saw what happened with, I don't know if you guys were aware of this, Uruguay was the first country in the world to actually legalize marijuana. And they had a hard time because the American banks wouldn't accept their money because the banks have laws where they say they can't take any money that's made through drug trafficking, right? This is to protect them from like the cartels and stuff. But it's a sticky situation because even though it's legal in that country, it's not legal in America. So what's going to happen when Canada starts doing this? How is this going to affect? Now, granted, the Ontario government is collecting this money, so it's going to be a little harder than being like the banks aren't going to take your money.
The biggest drug cartel, Ontario.
Or Canada, yes, the Canadian government. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I'm really interested to see what the lineups are going to be like on July 2nd, because July 1st it won't be open. Because since that's a holiday in Canada. But yeah, I'm gonna go and hang out and watch and see what happens there.
Go
on
and
July
hang out
2nd.
only, or are you going to go and hang out and potentially
Who knows?
try?
I guess it depends on prices and such, right? I don't know.
Next thing you know, Jacqueline's complaining about
I'll have to buy some
pricing.
stuff. Arthur's gonna have to bake me some, crackers or something. I don't know. Tea. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we're gonna get tax money, which is gonna really help our country, or our province and our country. I've been for this for decades. Just legalize it, get rid of the crime associated with it, hopefully, and you can improve roads, improve schools. I mean, I'll get air conditioners in our school, which everybody's complaining about this week. So
yeah.
Okay. Anything else to finish up on that?
Not really. It's kind of a dead horse topic for me now.
Yeah. I'll just always update as things come up, because I do kind of find it fascinating as things come along. But I think we're all pretty much pro legalized weed here.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna just talk about this really quickly. We already know that all of us kind of agree that say his name, Arthur.
Beer.
Yeah. He kind of brought it on himself. No one should die. Prison. But his family came out yesterday and spoke for the first time, talking about the condition he was in when he arrived home. And it's actually really, they said that we already knew that he had brain tissue loss. That was reported early on. But apparently they were saying that he had his bottom teeth appeared, quote, rearranged. So whether that's from beatings or what they did to him, I'm going to assume beatings. Maybe he was grinding his teeth. I don't know. He had a large scar running the length of one of his foot, and his hands and legs at best were described as totally deformed. Now, it's explicitly described why it was deformed. Now, is that from atrophy, from being in some sort of coma, or was that previously from being beaten?
I'd say tortured. I'd absolutely say torture.
Yeah, my thing was that too. He had a shaved head. His eyes were darting around. But he was blind and deaf, and he had a feeding tube at that point. He was strapped onto a stretcher, and he was moving. So he had some sort of, I don't know whether they were voluntary, whether it was reflex, but he was moving around and jerking, and he was making loud howling inhuman sounds. And of course, his condition, within 4 days, he had passed away by the time he got here.
That's fucked.
Or 2 days. 2 days. Oh, no, yeah. 2 days he returned to the United States, and 4 days after that he was gone. Yeah, so 4 days. So clearly, I mean, not that any of us are surprised that there was a lot of torture happening in North Korea. So please don't go to there, people.
So World War III is about to happen?
What's even the point? That's the thing I don't understand. What the hell is even the point of going to North Korea?
I don't get it. It's like it said, tours, places your mother wouldn't want you to go, right? It's that kind of I've been there statement, or that kind of maybe that entitlement that I can go there, even though it's dangerous. I'm an American, or I'm a Canadian, or I'm a Westerner, and nothing's going to stop me. I mean, I know some people go there because they think they're helping. Educating.
Yeah. I was going to say, I understand, the missionary kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I do understand that to an extent, but I mean, what makes just the, your regular traveler go, you know what? North Korea seems like a real cool fucking place for me to go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's stupid. It's not going to turn out good. If you fart in the wrong direction, they're going to fucking arrest you for being a spy.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah. So we're not going to beat that dead horse. That was a horrible thing to say. I didn't mean it like that. We're not going to talk about that any further. We know that clearly Otto saw, and for what he did, really. Nothing, warrants that sort of death. Come on. But anyway, I want to talk about this on Monday, and we ran out of time because we were talking about other things. But last week, the star of Riverdale, KJ Apa, he plays Archie on the show. It films in British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver. He was in a car crash, a late night car crash. Luckily, he wasn't really injured. I think he had, some little injuries, but nothing too bad. The passenger side of his car was basically demolished.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now this came after, and he wasn't drunk, he wasn't stoned, but he had worked allegedly a 16-hour day. And then after 16 hours, he had to drive 45 minutes to his, I don't know if he's an apartment or a hotel, but he had to drive home 45 minutes. So now people are saying, and SAG is launching an investigation saying, like, why is this 20-year-old kid or anybody who works a 16-hour day now forced to drive in the middle of the night? I mean, this is a 20-year-old kid, and most 20-year-olds aren't going to speak up on the set of a show that they feel kind of like, oh my God, I've got a job, right?
The star of the show too, right?
Yeah. Now the production company, Warner Brothers, I believe it is, they said, look, that they offer transportation if you ask, or they'll bring you to a closer hotel if you ask. But my point is, like I'm saying, is most people aren't going to, maybe, we don't know. What's the set like? What's the culture like? Maybe if you speak up and complain, you get shit for it.
Yeah, you get reprimanded.
Exactly.
Right? Cole Sprouse, who's one of the Sprouse twins that was on that Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, he was supposed to get a drive home with KJ and was supposed to be in the passenger seat. I mean, he probably would have been dead if he was in there.
Oh my God, thank God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, like, we know what our legal limits are to work in a job here. So if I go to my grocery store to where I work, they can only work me so many hours. And yes, these actors make a lot more money than I make. I mean, I make, minimum wage. These guys are making, I would assume, at least a couple $100,000 a year. He's just starting out. He's not making $1 million or anything yet, but he's probably making a few $100,000.
It's probably,
where's his rights? Where are their rights?
It's probably in their contract that they can work longer days. I mean, I've always understood that acting, even doing music videos and stuff like that, they're long days. You got to get in as much as you can.
Very long days.
Day, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
the budget. Yeah.
I don't know what to do about, like, what you would do about this.
Yeah. I think they need to ensure, I mean, there must be a shuttle van that they can get, Uber, something. But it makes you wonder. So this is just one of the people on the set. You've also got all the crew.
Yeah.
Right? That's a pretty dangerous situation for people. I mean, after being up 16 hours, we're all tired. Right?
Oh,
I think they're going to
absolutely.
need to get some sort of shuttle buses if the people have to drive. You shouldn't be having these people driving by themselves. And I mean, is Vancouver mountainy? I haven't been there.
I'd imagine. I mean, again, I don't really know. I've never been.
I know
further west of
BC
Winnipeg.
is, but I don't know if the city of Vancouver, because that's the island, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Victoria's on the island. I'm so bad at this geography. The lesser known cities. But yeah, I mean, just because people make a lot of money, they still need to have their protection and rights. And,
I think people forget that, right? Like, I think all of us, we focus on the money aspect, the fame aspect. And we, and we don't realize, like, I think Lindsay Lohan had said something like that, sometimes you work 21-hour days and you're kind of like, you're exhausted, and then you have to be up the next day by 2:00 in the morning to shoot another blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're getting any kind of makeup. You got to be there even earlier than the rest of the cast. But there have been a couple issues. Like, in the summer, the stuntman fell to his death on the set of The Walking Dead.
Yeah. The Deadpool stunt woman died.
Yeah, I was just about to say the motorcycle racer. Her name was S.J. Harris. I see that here. She died, and she was only going like a few kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Is too much happening? Is there, or is it just chance that these things are going on?
I think within the realm of stuntman, it's chance. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Your fucking job title is stuntman. Like, something's bound to happen eventually.
Yeah.
But Buddy crashing, no, that's just a fucking oversight.
Yeah.
Or even what happened in Broadway with Spider-Man, remember? I mean, I think it's chance a lot of the time.
Yeah. Now, the spokespeople for the TV show or the production company said that on the day of the accident, KJ worked 14.2 hours, not 16 hours. But that doesn't mean he wasn't at the set for 16 hours. The previous day, he worked 2.5 hours, and the day before, he worked 7.7. So, sure, it all balances out in the wash, but still, you can't charge up your sleep. Okay, I'm only working 2.5 hours today. I can save my sleep for the day I have to work 16 hours. It doesn't work like that.
No.
So, and they did send a doctor to where he was staying to make sure he was okay. He is the star of the show.
Yeah.
He is playing Archie. They want him to kind of help with, they're going to do another spinoff calling the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which I think they plan to also use him to, spin off that. So
yeah.
They're placing a lot of money on him right now, and I guess they better keep him safe. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's young though, right? Like early 20s?
Yeah, 20 years old.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to chalk at least a little bit of that up to being fucking stupid. He's young. He's dumb. He still feels like he's invincible.
Exactly.
I mean, we were all there at one point. We all used to think, like, you can't fucking hurt us. And then something happens where we get hurt.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I feel like sometimes when you're so young, you feel like I could do everything. I can do anything. Stay up. Remember, I would stay up 16 hours, go straight to school, and then come home and knock out. It was like the norm.
Yeah, we all did it. We've all partied all night and went to work the next day, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, not even just young people. I mean, I see people. You're like, oh, are you sure you're not too tired to drive? And they're like, oh no, I can do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, a lot of people don't. Even when we're driving down east, I was like, are you too tired? To my husband, let's stop. I mean, I had to force him to stop a couple times because I felt like he was really tired.
Yeah. Same thing with my dad, right? We'd always tell him, stop, we could take a break or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I part of it, I think, is that people try to push themselves so hard because they feel like maybe they have something to prove, which is, a great thing. But then, there's repercussions to things like that. I don't want to just all of a sudden say it's, I don't know what the studios is. If it's Warner, is it Warner Brothers?
I think it was Warner Brothers. I could be wrong. Don't sue me.
I don't want to say it's Warner Brothers or whoever it is, whoever the studio is. I do feel like they somewhat follow, because these, actually, I will say, having had worked on, when I was in high school, I did an internship with actors, and they had a union, right? These actors have unions. If you're not a part of the union, you can't even have a speaking part.
Right.
They always have a union leader on set who says, okay, it's time for a break. Everybody gets at least, I think, for every 6 hours, you get like an hour break or something like that. I don't know if rules have changed.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm accurate, but they do get these breaks. So, is it part of it that he didn't have stop? For me,
he might have went back to his trailer, and instead of napping, he's talking on the phone or hanging out with the crew or learning lines or who knows, right? But yeah, I mean, I think it's an easy thing to have a little shuttle bus to drive these people, right? Or a limo, something. Anyway, we'll see what happens from that. Let's talk some really happy news. Happy to me, and I'm sure to a lot of women around the world. Saudi Arabia has finally legalized women to drive in their country.
In 2017, but yes.
A royal decree. That's amazing. I mean, yeah, you're right. 2017 is ridiculous, but it's amazing because we're talking about one of the most strictest countries against women. A woman cannot do anything by herself in that country without a man's permission. That even includes like her 7-year-old son.
Yeah. Here's the thing I don't like. I haven't been able to find or anything, but is this Saudi Arabia wasn't always like this, was it? Like, women used to...
Not quite as strict.
Right?
No. In the last 20, 30 years, I think it's when it got kind of... But, I mean, they've always worn the black. I mean, even back in the 70s.
It was when, like, the whole Wahhabism really took hold of it, right? And that's, like, the real strict form of Islam. But I don't think it was ever really like that. Or I might be thinking Iran. I'm not sure.
Iran was very liberal.
Yeah, okay. So
was Turkey, Syria. There were a lot of Muslim countries that were completely liberal.
Yeah.
But I don't know about, I mean, Saudi Arabia, I was reading they're having their 94th or 92nd anniversary of being a declared country. And it's always been ruled by the same family, right?
Also.
The same kings and queens, or I guess kings, no queens. I don't know. But I saw a really good quote here that I loved. A tweet somebody said, one of the women that were campaigning Women to Drive campaign, Saudi Arabia will never be the same. The rain begins with a single drop.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful quote.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully this is true. Like this is of freedom. Apparently, the prince that they brought in, what do they call their guy there? The king there appointed one of his sons, and he seems to be. I don't know whether he's super liberal minded, but for women's rights. Oh, his name is Prince Khalid bin Salman. Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff there, and he's really kind of helping the women and trying to get them more rights.
But also remember the Saudi princess that's very outspoken. I forget her name. Spoken. I think her father's actually very proud of her for being outspoken about women's rights. Yeah.
Well, previously women were starting to work, but the problem is there's a lot of rules about them, the sexes mixing even in public places, right? So for a woman to get to a job, how would she get there? She would have to be in front of men without her husband or her child.
Yeah.
So that was hard for them. Now they're starting to make some sort of public transportation so that women can be on women-only buses at least and get to jobs. I mean, once you can get a woman to work and a woman to drive, to get your freedom.
Yeah. But I mean, they're still not allowed to talk to men that aren't associated with them. Yeah. They're still not allowed to fucking travel freely without men's permission. They still got a long way to fucking go.
Oh, they do. It's not going to be overnight. Absolutely, it's not going to be overnight.
But this is great.
Fair. Yeah, no, it's great. It's phenomenal for them. I'd make a sexist woman driving joke here, but I'm actually really happy for them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, where's the quote I read? Because it was basically talking about that. Like, would a woman have to? So the thing is there's no law saying that a woman needs to ask her husband for permission to go and learn to drive.
Yeah.
But we still know that some men are very restrictive in that country. So he may not allow his wife to, or he may even possibly abuse her if she tries. But I mean, look, this, like that quote says, this is, the rain begins with a single drop.
Yeah.
Even a slight easing of restrictions on women, we had the whole thing with the woman walking around in the short skirt and how they wanted to arrest her and people wanted her dead, but she didn't get arrested and she didn't get charged.
Look at that. Yeah.
Times are changing, and it's not going to be overnight, but this is the sort of thing you need. Country like Saudi Arabia, the biggest country in the Middle East, to kind of become more, I want to say modern, but coming to the age of 2017 or, the age of the Western world today.
Okay, maybe 1952, not 2017
Something,
quite,
but you know what I mean? Slowly, they're going to have a reformation there.
Well, but this is also huge. There's a lot of foreign domestic workers in Saudi.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Filipinos that are actually even working. This actually opens doors for them being able to drive now as well.
Exactly.
Some of these women, some of these women can potentially, I don't know if Uber is in Saudi, I'm sorry for assuming.
Highly
but, but if they have Uber, these women could be Uber drivers for other women. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's true. You could even be a cab driver for other women.
Here's my question, though. So they're not allowed to associate with men who do not directly correlate to them. Who is going to teach them to drive?
Well, I'm sure to begin with, they'll have to have a chaperone until women can become instructors. Yeah.
Right. So it's still like there's still a lot of hurdles for them to go through, as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, hey,
this is
congratulations.
Good. This is a great first step. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of it'll be weird coming into power, but there's a lot of women that already know how to drive. Maybe their husbands have already taught them.
Oh yeah, I've seen a few things of women just doing it out of protest and getting arrested and shit like that. So so I'm sure there are women there that can drive.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was my one thought when I was looking at that, going,
of course, yeah, because it's such a big country, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Who's going to teach these women to drive? Because it's not one of those things where you get to just hop behind the wheel of a vehicle and figure it the fuck out.
Be like, yay, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your 4,800-pound death machine really does take a little bit of fucking schooling to understand how to operate safely.
Yeah, but it's saying here in this article, even before May, women weren't able to access the government services without getting permission from a male guardian or having him present. So, I mean, this is like services like probably even trying to get a birth certificate or a passport. So, I mean, little steps are happening, and I think this Crown Prince is doing a lot to help them, which is great.
Do you think...
and this is what you need. You need a moderate... especially in a Muslim country where it's male powered, right? You need a moderate male that will come out and say certain things need to change. And, you know, it's not going to be huge. It's not going to be like overnight we're getting rid of Sharia law and women don't have to wear burqas and you can fuck whoever you want. That's never going to happen overnight, right? Little by little.
And not that it needs to happen in every country either. You know, I think sometimes people don't realize that context of what applies to you in your country doesn't necessarily apply, and what we take for granted, right? In our countries and the freedoms that we have doesn't necessarily apply to other countries.
No, it's ignorant to think that.
Yeah, but there are some people who do think that way, right? Like,
absolutely.
Oh my God, you don't have those freedoms. How can you not have those freedoms? Well, you know, country says so, so I have to follow the rules.
Because it's fair, because I argue with Americans about that all the time, about our gun laws. I can't believe you don't have the right to conceal and carry. Well, go fuck yourself. We don't need that. We don't want that. You know what I mean? But it's obviously a straw man. It's not the exact same, but it is kind of, you know, one of those kind of arguments.
Of course, yeah. It teaches you to, hopefully this also teaches Western countries how to appreciate what they do have and not focus so much, I guess, on the, oh my God, this and the, oh my God, that kind of a problem that we have. Women have been driving in the United States for probably since the 1920s, right? So, you know, good. It's nice, but we got to remember not every country has this law or allows women to even like eat without their husband's permission, I guess.
Yeah, but the hope is when you start to see some Muslim countries kind of easing these sort of restrictions, that maybe other countries will follow
suit. Exactly,
right? That's
the hope.
Yeah. I like what Retro Raccoon is saying in the chat. Apparently, there was a cleric who believed that driving caused ovaries to fail.
Yeah.
That in America they only have 2 to 3 kids because women use the car all the time and destroy their ovaries. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's some fuckery right there.
Science-based facts there.
Yeah. Like, I'd love to see those studies.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't save the article. I should have saved the article. I was reading, though, about Saudi Arabia. Of course, we know it's not all hearts and flowers there. About the Yemeni kind of war they're having right now.
Okay.
In Yemen, and how they previously blocked 2 years ago a human rights investigation into the Yemen thing of how Saudi Arabia was treating the Yemeni people. Now a group of Western countries, Canada, Great Britain, and I can't remember, a couple of other ones.
Yeah.
Not the U.S.
I was going to say not the U.S.
Not the U.S. They want to try to get another UN-sanctioned human rights investigation going on, and Saudi Arabia, again, is trying to block it.
Well,
so,
of course.
Yeah, well, they don't want it to get out. Apparently, I was reading that 700,000 people have cholera.
Holy shit.
In Yemen, because I guess the bombing has destroyed like their water supplies and stuff, so the water's tainted and people are getting cholera. Children, of course, women and children are dying because, you know, they're always the victims in war. So it's sad. Yeah, it's sad. I don't know a lot about the Yemen rebellion and all that stuff, so I can't really say who's at fault. It always makes me sad when innocent people die, but that's the cost of war, I guess.
Well, that's it. You know, I hate to constantly reiterate what you just said. That's always the cost of war, is innocent people die. We can't deny that fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want war, people are going to die. That's like saying, if I fire a gun, will it hit somebody? Of course.
Can I ask, you guys know, remember we talked about the ISIS people in the desert, and they were trying to get to ISIS territory?
Oh, the ones that were trapped on the bus?
Yeah, whatever happened to them? I didn't ever see an update.
No, they got home. They got to where they were going. Nobody took that fucking amazing opportunity to kill like 400, 500 of these fucking assholes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not real happy about
I think even the cost of the women and children, I probably would have did it too, to be honest, if I was a leader.
Well, that was just perfect.
I think I would have blown them up. You know, because these guys are hiding behind their women and children.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they are.
Right? And as much as, you know, I hate to have innocents killed, these guys put their women and children in danger.
Well, as horrible as this is going to sound, you kind of have to kill them as well, because guess who's also indoctrinated with their horrible fucking views?
Well, the wives for certain no. Now, in a case of a lot of ISIS wives, sometimes they're
forced into it, yeah, you know.
But maybe it's a
because again,
maybe it's a sweet release. It's awful for me to even talk this way. I'm sorry if I'm.
It's
but so goes against my kind of beliefs. But maybe, the sweet release of death would be better than having to be some gross ISIS guys, chopping heads off people's wife.
Yeah, but the other part of this too, though, is it's like the extent. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I hate. Oh my God! Like you said, I don't want to say certain things, but I feel like I should. But I'm willing to bomb. God knows how many people who are willing to infiltrate a country or create more, issues.
Yeah.
If it meant saving 700 million people. You get what I'm
saying? The only problem though is if you bombed that bus brigade.
Yeah.
And you killed innocents and you killed these guys, you would then embolden people in other countries and radicalize them.
Yeah, bolstering their position. Now you've created a whole shit ton of martyrs and a whole bunch of other people that are going to pick up arms against you. That's why this war, if you want to call it a war, is going to be one of the hardest ones ever fought, because you're not fighting for land, you're fighting for an ideology, and you can't kill that.
But isn't that the whole thing? That's why governments and laws are not it's always a slippery slope to make a decision or make a decree about something. You know what I mean? You think that, but it's only going to affect, or it's only going to make feel good, but that 10% can make other people feel like this is how, you know what I mean? Like it convinces and it creates something bigger. That's why we have to be careful about the laws that we pass and what it is that we do. Trump's, oh my God, I can't believe I'm bringing this up. Trump's travel ban, right? A lot of these people are going to be like, oh, you're going to deny us? Well, guess what? We're going to create more, raping and pillaging or whatever the case is.
Well, that's what it does.
You don't realize that. Yeah.
Well, and like they said, every time you bomb a village, right, and a U.S. bomb hits a village and you kill someone's father, their children are now angry at the U.S. for killing their father. And they're going to pick up the rifle and become the next generation.
There it is. Yeah. That's why this is going to...
Because if it's just a matter of killing, the terrorists, we would have killed all the terrorists 20 years ago. Right?
You think that.
But there's no such thing as complete world peace. You can never.
No, hell no.
Humans are too warlike. They're never going to be...
Exactly. It's ingrained in our DNA. It's ingrained in our DNA to just take what we want, regardless of how we have to take what we want.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people realize that. A lot of people are like, peace, peace, peace. But it's like...
The anthropologists that are studying and, the archaeologists that study these bodies that they find, how often do you find a body that's just laying there? Half the time it's like, look at the trauma they suffered.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? There's axe wounds all over the bones, showing signs of, cannibalism.
Yeah.
Ritualistic cannibalism, though, not cannibalism for sustenance. But still, I've been saying this for years, it's just how the world is. It's how nature is. Humanity can't win. We can try, and I appreciate the fact that we're trying, because again, I don't want to live in a war-torn country where, I got to worry about getting bombed and shit like that all the time. But it's just a fact of our biology, our evolution. Yeah. We evolved to kill and take what the fuck we want. I mean, it's just like every other animal.
Well, and observe a baby.
Right.
Right. A baby will take something right from your hand. Yep. And I watched the test they do on babies to see very early on, babies get the us and them.
Yeah.
You're talking about 6 months old, a baby gets us and them. You know what I mean? They get it. So it is something that's kind of an instinctual thing, a genetic thing. I don't know, but it is something we are ingrained with. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's move on. This probably would never have helped Otto Warmbier. I can't say his name, but I find this a really interesting, like, crazy story. Researchers restored consciousness in a man who spent 15 years in a vegetative state.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's insane to me. So really they stimulated the nerves that went to the brain and the gut, I guess. I don't know, all these different nerves. And I mean, he's not fully awake, hanging out and talking, but he's doing shit he didn't do for 15 years. He can, open his eyes. He's kind of reacting to things he never did before.
Yeah. Moving his head on command, like when he wants to be able to move, he can move. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. Like what a step forward for medical science.
Yeah,
but it's kind of scary because. he was in a like think about Terry Schiavo. She was in a vegetative state. Could we have stimulated her nerves, and could she have come back?
Possibly.
Well, we'd probably need a little bit more studies as well on that, right? I mean,
now she wasn't brain dead. Terry Schiavo wasn't brain dead. She was one of those people, the feeding tube that was, unresponsive, kind of like this guy. Not completely brain dead, because this guy would have been dead. If he was brain dead, they would have pulled the plug long ago. So he was having some sort of, electronic brain wave patterns. But this is crazy what we're doing. Like, we're really going to be able to, take my head and put it on some hot bitch's body in 30, 40 years.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Amazing.
I need this for me.
Yeah.
Along with our, fat patches.
Yeah.
But that's coming up too. That Russian scientist or his Italian scientist that's going to do the head transplant. Now, that's not going to work. A million times it's not going to work. But that's the start of it. Somebody's got to be the first, right? And people have volunteered to do it. So
that's the start of it now, right? I mean, it's got to start somewhere. It's kind of like what Arthur was saying earlier about Saudi. It's got to start somewhere. So this is the start of something. Although that's creepy as fuck. But I wouldn't want my head to be on somebody else's body. Imagine it on Kim Jong-un's body. Oh my God.
Yes.
So depressed.
Other than your daughter.
God damn.
But it is.
I want my head on Charlize Theron's body. Thank you.
You're
same
tall.
here.
She's so tall. You're such a pig.
Wait, what did he say?
He said, "Same here."
Same here.
He wants his head on her body.
Oh my God! Oh, I just got that. I'm like, but why? That would make you a woman.
I could deal with that for an afternoon. No, it's cool. That's amazing. I mean, now again, when you look like retroactively, I mean, with this technology, there's a lot of people that we could have helped. The baby, Charlie Gard.
Yeah.
Maybe this technology could have helped him, and I talked a lot of shit about that.
Yeah.
But like at the same point in time, I mean, that's the great thing about medical science, is that we're always advancing. It sucks for the people that couldn't benefit from before.
Yeah.
I mean, you even think of something like chemo or the polio vaccine.
Yeah.
It sucks that so many people got fucking polio and died from it.
Yeah, it really does.
The reality.
Retroactive for it though.
But did you see the story from last week about the HIV?
No.
Some group of scientists have cured HIV in like 99% of the people they tested it on.
That's amazing.
We're talking about 30 years we've been terrified of HIV.
Yeah.
And we possibly have a cure. Take that, people who say Big Pharma won't let you get a cure.
Yeah. I always thought the problem with HIV and AIDS was the fact that it was an ever-changing virus.
Exactly. It's like a flu virus that constantly is changing.
And that's why we've had a lot of issues with like curing it or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Apparently they found we'll see if it comes out. But there's so many kind of, things like this, like with stem cell treatments and stuff. You're curing blindness in some people.
Yeah.
Some people's cancers are being cured.
That's cool.
It's crazy what they're being able to do with stem cells. Please inject me with stem cells. Maybe I'll regenerate into a younger person.
See, but for that to happen, though, we kind of have to shed our old archaic religious views on stuff, because I mean, a lot of that stuff is really hindering our ability to properly research into stem cells. And it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because they think, oh, you're working on human cells, and yeah, we are.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. That is.
I'm fine with it. As long as you're not freaking cloning me or cloning someone without their permission, I don't care what you do with it. Help people live.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, right? Like, aren't we supposed to be for that? Like, within our humanitarian selves, like where we're supposed to actually care about each other? Shouldn't that be, like, our focus? Is doing what we can to fucking, not only prolong our lives, but make the quality of our lives better.
Exactly. Am I completely wrong? Or didn't even Pope Francis say that he kind of agreed with some stem cell research?
That I wouldn't know. I can't say that I really pay attention to anything.
That came to mind. I could be completely wrong. But I feel like somebody big came out, and I thought it was a religious person.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Yeah, you have to kind of get rid of that. I guess the religious thing.
That to me is what it always comes down to. I've never heard somebody who is an atheist or completely secular ever say they were against stem cells. I've only ever heard people that are very devoutly religious say they're against it because, you know, the whole anti-abortion stance.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's face it, that's where we're getting the stem cells from.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
So, I don't know. I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it.
I have been. For the first time I heard about it 20 years ago, I was for it. I thought it was a great idea. Look, if I have some problems and stem cells can cure me, you better give me them stem cells.
Well, Nancy Reagan changed her opinion about stem cell, right? I think once it hits you,
because of the Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm. But I think once it hits you, once it hits you personally, that's when you're exactly. Yeah, your opinion changes. Yeah.
I remember having a little disagreement with my husband because I was like, I'm signing my organ donor card, and he's like, oh, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you need it for? He's like, no, you have to have, because he's Catholic, right? And he's not a hardcore Catholic. That's how he grew up. And he's like, no, you need that. And I'm like, no, you don't. And I thought, well, what if one of our kids needed an organ? Would you take it? He's like, of course I would. And I'm like, whatever.
Well, the opinion changes once it becomes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once it becomes personal, the opinion changes. Yeah. I always find that, like with my mom is like, anti-abortion, right? Yeah. Old Catholic, again, super Catholic. And I'm like, but what if it was a difference between life and death for your daughter, that the pregnancy that she has is not healthy?
Yeah.
Oh, I would tell her to get it. Okay, so then all of a sudden now you're pro-choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really intrigued as to what more we're going to be able to do with this technology.
It is kind of, the brave new world.
Yeah, like that's pretty cool. Like, I wonder if this is our next step into shedding our biological forms and going into a digital form.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
Me? Absolutely.
Would you do it?
Absolutely.
Did you watch San Jupiter from what's that thing? Black Mirror?
No.
Okay, so the Black Mirror is the British TV program. They had a thing called San Junipero or something like that. And basically what it is it's in the near future. And for a certain amount of time a day, you can upload your brain into this, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and you live in this time period. You meet people, you can have sex, you can do whatever. And before you die, you can choose to go there permanently.
Yeah. Oh, I would, absolutely.
You should look for, even if you just watch that one episode, it's so good. I think I would do it too. I think it'd be pretty amazing.
I can't remember where I seen it or where I heard it, if it was a movie, a TV, a fucking TED Talk. But a guy was saying that it's our only chance of real survival.
Survival, yeah.
Our biological forms they're made to rot away and die. Not to necessarily say immortality, because obviously immortality would be kind of a side effect of this, but to me, like, that's the next step in human evolution, is to shed these biological forms and go into a more technological state. Mm-hmm. And I'd be game for it. I'd be so game for it.
I would do it too. Well, they said just a few weeks ago that the longest you could ever get a human body to live would be 127 years, I think they said.
Yeah, before it just decomposes into nothingness.
The cells are not going to regenerate after that time.
Yeah.
Even with, heart transplant, even with every organ transplant, you're still not going to get your arms and your skin and your rest of your body.
Unless we become turtles or something, and because they can live a long time.
Or they transplant me onto a young hot body. But I would definitely do a digital afterlife. I think that, because I don't believe in an afterlife, a heaven or hell. I shouldn't say that. I do believe the spirit goes somewhere. Energy never dies.
Energy can't die. Exactly. That's physics 101.
But are we conscious in that energy?
There it
afterward?
is.
That's what I don't know.
Yeah.
And I would love to do a digital. If me and my husband and my kids could be together forever somewhere, that'd be amazing. Although they'd probably no way, Mom.
I just keep thinking of it like Futurama, where Fry goes into the internet. That's what I want. I want to be able to run through the internet.
But the problem, they couldn't put you in the internet because you'd have somebody like fucking Vladimir Putin in there turning it into Skynet.
See, and there's the dangerous part, right? Is that kind of shit again could be used in a very nefarious type. It could be really detrimental to us at the same point in time, as fucking cool as it is. Because now you can have people that are sentient in the fucking internet causing all kinds of fucking chaos. But
and there's people that would.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 100%. I would.
I didn't watch it, but I'm assuming it's like that Johnny Depp movie that was just out last year.
And that movie was one of the things that kind of actually changed my mind on this whole thing, because I was like, man, that's really cool, but fuck, is that dangerous?
Yeah.
But that's awesome, though. I'm really happy about that. Like, I really am. That's cool. I mean, the people that we're now going to be able to save is great.
Yeah.
You know, no longer are, you know, car crashes or, I mean, hell, even think of athletes with their CTE and stuff like that. You know,
that could help people.
That's great. That's really amazing.
You know, exactly. I wish this is kind of not to do with this, but I was just thinking about Christopher Reeve and how he always wanted to, you know, walk again. And you see these guys walking around with these things and they're able to get up and walk. I wish he had lived to do that, because he, you know, he really did raise a lot of money and awareness for people that were paralyzed.
But you need those kind of people, though. You need the people that are, I mean, as unfortunate as it is, you need the people that suffer and bring these problems to the forefront, you know, and then other people start getting on it and they try to fix it.
But isn't it that the saying goes, you know, out of tragedy comes beauty? Because it's true. I think that sometimes out of something very tragic, do we find answers or solutions to the issues that once we found to be like just nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's cool shit, though.
Okay. Well, we'll keep updating you on amazing research finds like this, because I always find these little stories and I find them really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last story before we run out of time and Ryan disappears. The NCAA coaches. So this week they arrested 10 men, some assistant coaches from colleges and I don't know about high schools, and a top Adidas executive. They were arrested. They were charged with using hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes to influence star athletes in their choice of schools and sponsors and agents and even tailors. So basically what they're doing is they would get the high school coaches to try to get them to influence, you know, like a great player to go to a certain school and then commit to signing a sponsorship with Adidas when they then, you know, went on to an NBA team. It's so skeevy, you know, like these, and it happens all the time. They just don't get caught. But this is why I think college basketball players should be paid.
Oh, the whole NCAA system is it's just disgusting. The fact that these coaches, I'm pretty sure the highest paid coach, period, over all sports.
Any sport,
is fucking a college football coach. Guy's making like $8 million a year. And these kids.
Millions and millions of dollars off the backs of these kids.
And these are fucking kids putting their fucking lives and their well-being and their fucking physicality on the fucking line, and they get shit. They can get expelled for accepting a free fucking dinner, and yet this guy's making $8 million a year to exploit children.
It's crazy, and you see why these kids take the money, why they take the gifts, because their families, you know, and a lot of times these kids are poor. You know, a lot of times these kids are coming from poor neighborhoods. Not everyone. I'm not one to paint everybody with the same brush. No. But you got to think at least 80% of these kids are poor. Yeah,
it's what drives a lot of these athletes. You know, we're watching, I know you guys don't like him, but Miles Teller, he has that boxing movie, Live for This. And me and Liz were talking about it, and I was saying, like, you'll never see a boxer come from a rich family. Because they don't have that drive. They don't have that drive to fucking do it. And I feel like that with a lot of athletes. They just, it's not there, that willingness to just put your body and your life and everything on the line. And then, you get into the NCAA or college sports, which is great. That's your stepping stone. That's your way to the main stage. That's where people finally start noticing you, and you're getting nothing. You get nothing. Nothing for your fucking time, nothing for your effort, nothing for the pain and the injuries. It's disgusting.
The hours invested into the practice, and not just the practice, the working out to stay in shape.
Exactly.
You know? And then you have to get good enough grades to, you know, to stay on the team.
Right. Like, it's, to me, it just, I don't know. It's always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely done wrong. Now, I didn't realize, that's crazy to me, especially Adidas. Yeah. And I love Adidas. I like to buy their shoes. It's kind of sickening to me that they're exploiting these kids at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to commit to a sponsorship before you even get into an NBA team.
Oh, yeah.
That's ridiculous. Adidas, that's snaky. I'm glad this guy got arrested.
But it's kind of smart when you think about it,
Well,
though.
it's smart business-wise, but it's not legal, so it's snaky. You know, like that's the thing. I like this code. The acting attorney June H. Kim added that the defendants were, quote, circling blue chip prospects like coyotes.
Yeah. But again, that's standard operating procedure for this type of stuff. It's John Oliver did a really cool little expose on the whole NCAA and stuff, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I already kind of knew. Like, I always knew these kids were getting exploited. Yeah. You know, I've always had my opinions on how they get treated and the unfairness of what they fucking do, like what they go through to get absolutely nothing. Maybe the prospect of being drafted into the league, maybe. Like, it's not even a guarantee that if you go and play college sports,
there's
you're
thousands of kids playing NBA or college basketball,
football, even college hockey. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not a guarantee, but you're still out there day in, day out at practices, at the games, putting your body, your health, your well-being on the line to make the coaches and the college's coffers fill. Yeah. You know? And for what? For nothing.
I mean, you're playing the sport. These teams get. You know, you watch a hockey game, right? And it's coming from someplace like, I don't know, just say like Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
And the stands aren't full. You watch a hockey game or a football game or a baseball game from some of these cities, and they're not full. You ever watch a college sport? It's always full.
Exactly. And it's not all students. Always. Like, I wouldn't even say half the crowd there are students.
It's alumni, and it's just people in the area that support their team.
You know, which is great. Crazy. Like, I'm a sports fan. I understand the fervorous support for your sports team. But at the same point, I've always hated how these college kids they get treated. To me, it's very disgusting. But at the same point, I mean, I do understand why a company like Adidas would do what they did.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, yeah, I understand. It's smart. You get them locked in. But like I said, when that stuff's illegal, it looks bad for your business brand after you get caught. So.
But it won't. It won't deter any of this stuff. It won't.
People will still wear Adidas. I'm still going to buy Adidas.
Oh, yeah. I'll never not wear Adidas. That's all I wear. You know, but it's, you know, there's something inherently shameful about it. To me, at least, about how these.
Did you watch The Blind Side? Now, I know that's not about basketball; it's about football. But did you watch that?
That was a Sandra Bullock movie. Yeah. No, absolutely not. I can't stand that.
No, I don't like her either. But I did watch the movie, and same thing. So this is a poor kid, and his mom's, you know, barely taking care of him. Yep. So Sandra Bullock and her husband let him come stay with them. They help educate him, and then he goes on to university. And one of the things that they question is he chooses the university they are both alumni of. And so it's like, did they influence him? Did they bring him in just to bring them to his team? You know, and they do address that in the movie, which I think is good, but it was kind of like a white savior movie that kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's based on true story, so
I don't know. I just think these kids deserve not a wage, but they deserve a wage. It's disgusting to me.
They need money. Like, I mean, they don't need $1 million a year, no, but like, why can't they make, you know, at least, you know, 20,000 for the, you know?
Yeah. And, you know,
at least then they can send some money, and then they can have some money for themselves.
My thing is, though, like, what if you're sitting there and, you know, it's mostly within football, but you're out there on the football field and you take some either career or life-ending injury. And I've seen it. I've seen kids.
It's happened in the first game. These guys get on the field,
right? And I've seen these kids sitting there now who are now wheelchair-ridden their entire lives. They're quadriplegics, paraplegics, and they got nothing. They got nothing for putting their body on the line for these schools and these coaches to fill their pockets.
They take fluff classes, right? But this is one of the reasons why athletes get so much money when they do get to the NFL or the MLB. You know, and it's ridiculous. Like when somebody gets, you know, freaking a $400 million contract, you're like, Jesus Christ, do you really need that much money?
But yeah, they do.
But I mean, if your career only lasts 3 years, 10 years,
right? And you know that coming out of your career, you're going to have severe problems.
Yeah.
Like it's CTE is not it's not a myth anymore. We know that this exists. Like we know that that is a real fucking thing. You can't say that I don't even know how to say this, but like the facts aren't out kind of thing. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
facts
the
are out.
Facts are out.
Like, we know this shit's real. We know what it does to these people. We know the issues that come about with that stuff later on in fucking life. And
Yeah.
I mean, again, now what if a kid, 18, 19, 20 years old, because you're still a fucking child, your brain's not fully developed from the last thing I heard till you're about 29, 30. That's when your brain is done. It's developed.
Yeah.
And they just ruin themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for what? For absolutely nothing. And then you
For money.
exactly, and you still have this fucking coach sitting there making $8 million fucking dollars a year off the fucking labor of children.
Yeah.
Like, I thought child labor laws were, you know, in place for a fucking reason. But yet this NCAA gets to fucking, you know, they get to skirt this shit. And then the fucking big scandal is that, oh, well, you know, Adidas is fucking influencing these kids to, well, yeah, of course they are.
Yeah. And of course the families and the kids are going to take the, I mean, who's going to reject $100,000?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't got money to pay your bills, or you know, you've never seen that kind of money in most cases. I've never seen $100,000. You know?
Yeah, me
well,
neither.
that's not true. I've counted other people's $100,000, but not my own.
But yeah, it's just that's always bugged me. It's always bugged me, and I don't see it ever coming to a point where it's not going to bother the shit right out of me. I don't like children being exploited. You know, I don't know why, but I don't. Like, it's just not cool.
Yeah, why? Nobody does. It's the same thing. Like, it's like, you know, children on TV when the kids get all messed up and they end up drug addicts and shit because they were exploited. It's the same sort of thing.
See, but at least those kids get paid.
Well, think about it. Do they? Because it's supposed to go into a trust, and then their parents steal all their trust
their
money,
parents get the money. Yeah, they got to get a better trust company fucking backing them. But you know, at least there's still money there, like, or at least the prospect of money, I guess.
The intent to pay was there,
right? Exactly. But like with these NCAA athletes, it's not. It's not there. You know for a fact you are going into essentially a no-win situation. You're not going to get compensated for your time, your effort. You putting your body and your fucking health on the line.
Well, and look at our Olympic athletes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it works in other countries, but the Canadian government is changing its ways, at least, so that these people are getting some sort of paycheck so they can practice year long. Because really, what's the point of spending all that time and your own personal money to train to become the best of the best to represent your country, and there's no monetary help?
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, it's just, I don't know, I don't get it. And like you brought up earlier, like, especially when you get to the majors and you see these insane contracts and stuff like that, like, yeah, that's great, your hard work and your dedication finally paid off. But I mean, what about all those years when you were learning your skill? You know, think of Vancouver, that loser that fucking flew off of the track and died, unfortunately. You know, do you think the fucking $3,800 a year, if that he was getting from the government, was worth his life?
No, right? But maybe to him it was. He's doing the sport he loved, right?
Oh yeah, and I get that, and obviously the pride you get for representing your country. Like, I mean, I know I would do that just solely for that.
Yeah, but well, that's what they did. But it's hard to live your life and train the amount you need to train. That's the problem,
right? You want to be a competitor in sports nowadays, you have to fucking train like pretty much full time. That's
your job. Right, and then if you have time, you get to do a part-time job to support yourself.
Exactly. Out there fucking roofing.
God
damn. No,
but yeah, then that's the thing. That's what some of them are doing these jobs, and then they're going and training for 10 hours a day.
Yeah. No, there needs to be huge referendums on how these college sports and these college athletes are handled. Yeah. It's disgusting. To me, again, it's no different than sending 12-year-olds down in coal mines to dig coal back in the day. It's the exact same thing. It's fucking disgusting.
How does so I know, like, in the minors in baseball, they get paid, right?
Yep.
How do things like the OHL? So anybody who doesn't understand, OHL would be the Ontario Hockey League. These are kids that haven't been drafted into the NHL yet.
They still get paid.
Do they get paid? Okay, I didn't know if they got paid.
Yeah, it's all minor, but they still get paid.
At least it's something, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I wasn't aware of that.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just, well, obviously high school students. You know, you're in high school. I understand, like, not paying them athletes.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense to me. College to me is a different monster because you choose to go. right? Like, it's not like you can.
Well, with the colleges raking in, like we said, they're making possibly billions in some of these colleges. A college like Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, and that's it too.
Must be making billions of dollars.
When you go through, like, when you go overbearingly and you just say like the entire, college sports industry, they're making ridiculous money, like ridiculous money. I mean, enough to pay one guy $8 million a year.
Yeah.
That's nothing to shake a stick at.
No. Yeah.
They need to do something about it. And I mean, it'll never happen. But the student athletes at least need to go on strike. Refuse to play. It'll never happen.
Because if they go on strike, then there's no chance for them to be, drafted.
No, exactly. But I mean, they have to do something to better their situations. They have to do something.
Which is why some athletes, instead of going to college, just go right into the league if they're good enough.
Well, if they're good enough, and I mean, it is kind of rare.
Oh yeah, it's one in I won't say million, but 1 in 1,000.
Right. I know Kobe did it. I know LeBron did it. I can't think of any hockey players that went straight from their high school.
One hockey player that did.
Yeah. There might be. I just can't think of it.
Yeah.
But
you don't get it in baseball. I think there was a baseball player who did, but yeah, it doesn't happen very much because some of these places, some of these leagues also have laws, right? And how you can get in.
Yep.
So anyway, I guess we should end the show.
All right.
Okay, next time we'll have I'll be here on Charlize Theron's body. Have
Stop ruining that for me.
I can't. She's so tall and beautiful. I want that body. Okay, have a great week.
Take care.
Bye.